Hey everybody, this is your demo for the Atmospheric Perspective project, and I'm using Autodesk Sketchbook, and I'm gonna take you through a few things here. I just made this screen a little bit smaller. I'm just using my thumb and my index finger to make this smaller or bigger. So I want to be able to see the whole screen. So this is, I actually just told it. It's a nice feature of this program. You can actually rotate the screen too, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to use this brush right here. This is the Tattoo Inker, and I've been using this brush quite a bit. It's pretty cool. With this project, we're talking about atmospheric perspective. So the colors in the foreground are darker and more saturated, and as we go back in space, the colors are less dominant or less vibrant. So I'm going to make a new layer here, and I'm actually just going to do a sketch first so that I have sort of a blueprint to work from. And I'm just going to do like that, and then something like this. And what I'm noticing is that I'm kind of getting this unintended sort of, these shapes are kind of lining up almost evenly. I don't really want to do that. I want to have more of a randomness to this. So I'm going to kind of do more like that. Okay. All right. Oops, I don't want that. I'm being too much in the middle here. All right, no. All right. Let me come over here, actually. It's going to be a big one. Okay. This is okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the opacity down on this layer, and I'm going to go to about that, 25%, and then I'm going to make a new layer, and I did that by clicking on the plus here. I mentioned in the atmospheric perspective intro video that you certainly don't have to do a mountain range. That is for sure. You can do pretty much anything you want as long as it's a landscape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding some color to this. And each one of these mountains is going to be a new layer. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mountains, and then I've got a background layer or a sky layer. So I'm going to have 7 layers here. And I'm not sure if I want to use black, but I'm going to use something pretty close to that. And here's what we're going to be talking about, tints and shades. Whatever color you want this thing to be in terms of the overall color, I might choose, I might actually choose like a blue, like that kind of blue. That's kind of nice. Whatever overall color you want to be, you're going to stick with that color family. So if you're going with blue, your colors are either going to be tints of blue or shades of blue, which means tint is when you're adding white to a color, and shades is when you're adding black to a color. So if this color here, this blue, if I'm going to tint it, if I'm going to shade it, it's going to be down here. And if I'm going to tint it, it's going to be up here. Okay. I don't think we want to go with pure white or pure black. We want to kind of add a little bit of blue in there. So I'm going to start with that color, and I'm just going to basically draw the same shape there. And you can use any kind of brush you want. In the intro video, I mentioned that in the foreground we have more detail, and then as we get farther away, we have less detail. So I think it's okay to have this little bit of detail on the edge of the brush here. That'd be kind of neat, a neat effect. As I get farther away, I don't want to have these little bumps. All right, so then I can actually go up to, this paint bucket. I can fill that in, see how that works. That does not work, wow. I think my tolerance is up way too high. Oops. I'm gonna undo that, and I'm gonna try this again. That's better. So it saved me a little bit of time. I still have this white ring around there. I'm gonna undo that, move my tolerance up just a little bit. I'm gonna try this one more time. No, it still gives me that ring. Okay, so I'm just gonna, oh, okay. I just clicked it once, and then it filled it in right there. So the other thing it did, though, I don't really like what it did here. It kind of got rid of that nice edge that I had created there. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna click right here on my paint bucket. I'm gonna go back to my brush. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of detail on the edge here. You certainly don't have to do this, but that's something I want to try. Okay. Now I'm going to do my next layer, and I'm going to bring that underneath this layer here. So every layer I make is going to be underneath that darkest layer, okay? So I go here, and I'm going to go move that slightly up. And then I'm going to go, so make sure I'm in the right layer, yep. Then I'm going to do the same thing. Oops, made a mistake. Go down here, just like that. And you don't have to use the paint bucket if you don't want to. If your area is small enough, you could just kind of fill it in by hand. It's no big deal. And kind of fill that in. Okay. Go to my next layer. I'm going to create a new one. That one goes below the one I just made. Ooh, click and hold. Come on. I was a little stubborn. Here we go. And then I'm going to go to a lighter color. So you can sort of see what we're doing here. We're got a little strategy here. And I'm going to go. Okay. You can also go back and adjust these colors too. If you don't think the color is right for your layer, you can always, let's say I wanted a lighter color here. You could go back to this layer, and if you clicking on it, you can change the color balance. You can see if this is doing anything. Yeah, it's making it a little bit more yellow or more blue. So you can do a whole host of things here. I wouldn't go too crazy with this because we did make sure that it was in the same color family. But that is a way that you can adjust. You can also do the HSL adjustment, which also makes things a little bit lighter. So that's actually a quick way to make it lighter. So I'm going to hit done there, and I'm going to go to my next layer. I got 3 more plus the background. So I'm just going to go quickly here. Go back to my brush, choose this from a different color, go lighter. Okay. Make sure that's below. That might not be, well, that's okay. Okay. Next layer. Move that down. Lighter color. Okay. And now I'm going to go to my last mountain range. Bring that down and make that like that. Okay. Okay. And now what you can do is you can create a sky layer, and I think that's, oh, I need to put that below. And I'm going to go with a With the same color on the top here, I'm going to blend this. I'm going to go with this color on top, and I'm going to go with a lighter color on the bottom. And I'm going to show you a cool way to blend this in, which is going to come into play with projects we do later on in the year, in the spring. Right below this tattoo inker here, I've got this. This is my blending tool. If I click and hold on it, actually it says smudge pen. Do I want to use that one? I'm gonna go with that one for now. Let's see. Yeah, that works pretty well. Okay. That gives me a nice. Okay. That's not bad. I can also try to smudge this this background mountain a little bit. Let's see what happens when I do that. That's too much. I don't want to do that. Oh, that's the eraser. I had the eraser on. I don't want to do that. So yeah, you just want to make sure you have the right tool selected when you're working here. So this is better. Okay. Oops, that's too big. I think that is way too big. And this line back here, this is my, this is just my sketch layer. I'm going to turn that off, and there we go. So that gives it some kind of like a misty quality. And if you've seen some of these on Pinterest or on Instagram or something, you'll notice that some of them have like some mist happening down in the valleys here of these mountains. And you can do that pretty easily. Actually, let's say if I wanted to create some mist in, let's see, this guy right here. Is that one? Yeah. I'm going to go to my smudge pen, and I'm going to kind of do this. Oops. I'm actually going to use my finger a little bit here. It's kind of interesting. Just a little bit here. Remember that as you get farther away, you're going to have less detail. So it's okay to kind of smudge these out and make these a little bit less in focus. Okay. So there's one more thing that you could try. I mean, you can try as many of these different tools out as you want, but I want to share with you one thing that could give you kind of a cool misty quality. If you were doing something like this, you could go over here to, you have an airbrush, which if we click and hold on that, it's called the Flow Airbrush. And I am going to create kind of a lighter color down here that's going to be sort of a mist settling in this valley here. So I'm in the right layer, I think. Yep. So what I'm going to do is notice I've got this lighter color here. I'm going to go with a little bit darker of a color, like right about there. And I'm going to take my airbrush, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a highlight right there. That's nice. You could even do the same thing for the these other layers in here. Not that one. I want to go with this guy, I think, and go with a much darker color, something like that maybe. Airbrush is selected still. Okay. This gives a little bit extra. And lastly, this guy right here, I think I could probably put something in there. And make that a little bit darker. Whoa, that's too dark. Maybe something like that. Okay. And then airbrush again. Here we go. That's nice. Right over the edge here. Okay. So I'm not 100% happy with the background here. I think I need to go back and do some more work in here, but that's basically it. I've got the the most important things here in terms of the concept of this project are that you have dark colors in the foreground, and if you wanted to add in any details like trees or houses or things like that, this would be the place to do it, down in the foreground. As you get farther away, the colors get lighter, they get less saturated, they have less detail in general, and then it can be pretty kind of smoky back here, kind of much more muted and really fuzzy, out of focus. So that is basically it. Let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing what you create. Once again, this does not have to be a landscape that has mountains in it. There are tons of examples online, but please do not just copy what somebody else has done. I'm much more interested in seeing what you come up with on your own, okay? So hope you have fun with this. I can't wait to see what you create.